Let's get with another video. Today is going to be a video on me discussing the answers to the many questions that people have about Five Nights at Freddy's security. Yo, and just before getting into this, I'm gonna be honest, this is probably the nerdiest video I have ever made, ever. Bear with me on reach. Now, last video I did a lot of looking into what these mysteries were, and now I'm gonna be answering them. So, first of all, one of the big questions in this game is, how is the FNAF sister location TV room in the game? Now, we all know that if you, get all the upgrades for Freddy, get the fast cam, you can access this little, sister location room which has a tape player which you can use the Vanessa Therapist tapes to play. Now, again, this probably looks really weird in the lore, but to answer that question, it is probably a replica, considering it is slightly different from the original, with a Mega Pizzaplex poster within it. Also, Michael Afton's photos, since this room is supposed to be Michael Afton's house, do not appear in this room. He had personal photos that were kind of blurry in sister location. They don't appear at all in this room, and so it's probably most likely a replica. If you want the second answer to this question, the second answer to this question is that this is the actual room from FNAF sister location. The room has clearly been sealed away by a rusty door, proving that it's old, and it is clear that the Pizzaplex was built over many old buildings such as the FNAF 6 Pizzeria. Now, it is possible that Henry built the FNAF 6 Pizzeria close to Michael Afton's house, so it would be convenient for him to work there, since we know he is the night guard and Henry's plan was to burn the animatronics, and Michael Afton would do that. In this room, there's also a weird triangle puzzle that, when translated, which took a very long time from people like Dawko and many others from the FNAF community, it appears to be a reminder to Michael Afton about his duty to free the animatronics. So it basically, I'll put it up on screen here on what it says, but Michael Afton's duty was basically to correct the mistakes of his father by freeing the animatronics. So this is what it appears to be. I'll put this up on screen now. So now for the second question, it is what causes Freddy to glitch at the start of the game? Now, I had to do a lot of research into this because, funnily enough, this whole glitch that he gets is not really ever mentioned in the game except for the start, and there's no really any more stuff you can find it. So we all know that Freddy glitches in the first cutscene, which causes the show to be ruined, and we can see notes from parents saying that they're mad and upset about this because they ordered Freddy to come to the birthday party. Anyway, he is later put into low power mode for the night, as we can see when we get into him. He's only on 2 bars, and he states this. Just before Freddy collapses, the cutscene shows his vision and what Freddy sees. An error pops up saying high threat level detected, and if you look closer you can see that the threat level detected shows a little image of a male human. Now obviously you can't see the details of the male human, but the male human pop-up indicates that whatever this threat level was, it was a male human that he spotted within the crowd. The only 2 male human characters in this game currently are Gregory and William Afton, and I would definitely believe it's Gregory though, as William Afton was locked in the charging station until the end of the game. If you get the true ending, that wouldn't make any sense why you would just go up there. So the reason Freddy was glitched was because he saw Gregory in the crowd. When the game starts, Freddy states that Gregory is not found in the visitor database, and Gregory also does not have a visitor pass on him, as when we try to go past the main lobby, Freddy tells us we need a complimentary entry pass. Basically, Gregory breached security, which is classified as a threat to the Pizzaplex. This is the reason the game is even called Security Breach in the first place, because Gregory has breached security and was able to get in without any of these passes and stuff, which the Pizzaplex would obviously see as a threat because technically he broke in without paying anything. Now the next question we have is why is Freddy the only animatronic in the game that helps you? Now Freddy states after powering him up, after doing the power upgrade in the parts and service, he states that the animatronics are not capable of hurting guests. So clearly something has gone wrong with all the other animatronics except Freddy. In one of these tape recordings you can find around the Pizzaplex, the therapist states to Vanessa that a glitch has infected all the animatronics, making them more quote-unquote eerie than entertaining. The therapist later explains that the glitch's origins have been traced back to Vanessa, which makes sense because he is also Vanny. Vanny is basically putting the glitch tap virus into the animatronics, which causes them to be aggressive to people. This is all done so the animatronics can kill guests and offer the soul remnants to William Afton so he can be revived. Remnant, if you don't know, was a thing introduced in FNAF AR, which is basically supposed to be somewhat of like what people leave behind when they die, and it can be physically used to rejuvenate sick things or dying things, so that makes sense why they would use him for William Afton. Well, Freddy was not infected though by this. Freddy was infected by this glitch though until he collapsed during the performance. This glitch obviously caused a reset of his system and flushed the glitch out of his system. We can tell this because Freddy completely collapsed and his system completely failed, so this is most likely why the glitch got flushed out of his system. Now, another question people have is Freddy possessed by a human soul? Now, this is going to be a long answer, but let's start with the obvious. Freddy is by far the most self-aware animatronic in Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach, and when he comes to Bonnie's stage, he even says, quote-unquote, "I do not come up here anymore, I miss him."
I do not come up here anymore. I miss him.
In reference to the fact that Bonnie was decommissioned. Now, when you go down and find the abandoned FNAF 6 pizzeria, he also says, "I know what this is, I've been here before." Freddy can mourn and remember prior events, and there has never been an animatronic like this self-aware in any FNAF game. Even Springtrap seemed less self-aware than this guy. Also, in the Vanny ending, Freddy screams like a human. So it is basically confirmed that a soul is possessing Freddy. This is a very common trend in the series, but which soul is possessing Freddy? When you meet William Afton, aka Burntrap, at the end of the game, Freddy tells Gregory to stop him. Freddy clearly knows who William Afton is, so the soul that possesses him must be a character who knows William and has died. When Freddy sees the FNAF 6 pizzeria, he also says, "I have been here before," which means that Freddy is possessed by a character who is present in FNAF 6 and knows William Afton. After the fire that failed to destroy the animatronics in FNAF 6, many characters are left behind, such as William Afton, aka Burntrap, who is rebuilt by Vanny with a new endoskeleton. Molten Freddy also lived, and has now become a massive blob full of all the animatronic spirits, such as Baby. One character is missing though. The main protagonist of FNAF 6 is Michael Afton, who is William Afton's son. This is who is possessing Freddy. Michael Afton's goal is to free the animatronics and to stop his father. These aspirations remain true with Freddy in the game. It is also ironic that the game would leave a puzzle in the sister location room that, when solved, restates Michael Afton's goal. Clearly, this was put in the game for a reason, considering the puzzle also took a lot of effort to solve. So in conclusion, Freddy is possessed by Michael Afton, considering there is no evidence of him being anywhere else, and all the spirits that were present in FNAF 6 wound up somewhere, like William Afton and like the Molten Freddy and all that stuff. So for the fifth question, many people are asking if Vanessa or Vanny has a twin, or are there two Vanessas or Vannys or whatever. So we know at the end of the VIP ending, Vanny/Vanessa dies, and we finally get to see her face to prove this. But at the end credits scene, a person who looks exactly like Vanessa is seen looking down at her dead body. Now this raises many questions, like, did Vanessa possibly live through the fire? And the answer to that question is no. Vanny/Vanessa died after Freddy pushed her off the roof of the Pizzaplex. So does Vanessa have a twin or a clone? The answer to this seems to be, once again, no. I can conclude that Vanessa does not have a twin, and after diving deep into the lore of FNAF AR, FNAF VR, and FNAF Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach, there is absolutely no mention of Vanessa having a twin, or even a sibling in general. What is mentioned though throughout these three games is that Vanessa has a split personality disorder. Basically, she has two completely different personalities within her, and this is because her mind is taken over by Glitchtrap, aka William Afton. One of her personalities is her, and the other is William. William Afton escaped through her mind from the Glitchtrap virus within FNAF VR Help Wanted. So what does this have to do with the VIP ending? Well, this ending is more of a symbolic one of sorts from what I can tell. Throughout FNAF, it has been seen that spirits like to haunt places or objects, so this ending is meant to represent that Vanessa has been freed from her second personality Vanny after dying. The second Vanessa that looks down from the rooftop of the Pizzaplex is simply her ghost. I know this theory sounds a little lackluster, but there is currently zero evidence to support the idea of Vanessa having a twin. Obviously, if more evidence is presented in the future that says otherwise, I will revise this theory, but as it currently stands, the ending was simply symbolism that Vanessa has been freed from her second personality, Vanny, after death, and that is a ghost on top of the Pizzaplex. Now, this is one of the biggest questions that I think people are asking. Where is Bonnie? or why was Bonnie decommissioned? So one of the biggest mysteries throughout Finance Freddy's security breach is the seemingly random disappearance of Bonnie. He has his own attraction within the Pizzaplex called Bonnie Bowl, which is a Bonnie-themed bowling alley. He even has his own stage within the attraction, but Bonnie is nowhere to be found. You can find 2 notes around the establishment confirming Bonnie's existence. One of them details that many kids are asking where Bonnie is and that the employees are asking the company to release an official statement about his disappearance. The other note is a security log detailing Bonnie's last whereabouts. It states that Bonnie one night left his green room and proceeded into Monty Golf and then was seemingly decommissioned. Besides that, the game doesn't explicitly tell us anything else about Bonnie. Although based on where Bonnie disappeared, we can assume Monty had something to do with it, also considering Monty replaced Bonnie as the new bass player in the band. Now, first, let's look at Monty's design. He has a jaw full of razor-sharp teeth and also has very sharp claws. So I could see him easily being able to destroy an animatronic such as Bonnie if he so wanted to. So why would Monty do this though if we're assuming that it's him? Well, Monty wants to become the main leader of the band and he literally wants to kill Freddy. Now, that seems like a crazy term, saying Monty wants to kill Freddy. And Bonnie was only one step toward this goal, so this seems like a pretty vague claim. But if you play the Monty Golf game, which barely any players did, including myself, on hole 9 you can see a stage where where models of the Glamrock animatronics are playing, and every single one of them is there except Freddy. And the animatronic who replaces Freddy is Monty as the lead here. And if you look to the left, you can see a dumpster, and lying in the dumpster is Freddy. This basically proves Montys Intentions. We already know that the company who runs the Pizzaplex, Fazbear Entertainment, would make Monty the lead of the band if something were to happen to Freddy, via the driving ending which shows Monty being replaced as the lead in the newspaper in the end credit scene. After Freddy and Gregory escape in a note, you can get the company even acknowledged that Monty was more popular than Bonnie. So from a business standpoint, this would make sense for them to replace Freddy if something were to happen to him. Now, what happened to Bonnie after this incident? Well, it is clear that Bonnie's parts were used to make William Afton aka Burntrap. During the cutscene that reveals Burntrap, a segment of it locks onto his feet. One foot shows exactly what looks like a Bonnie foot. We know that William Afton had to be rebuilt because he has plates of metal strapped to his back, and he was also in a charging station proving that he needed to be worked on. So in conclusion, I believe that Vanny led Bonnie into Monty Golf so Monty could kill him. This makes sense from a business standpoint and from Vanessa's motives. Monty was the most capable of killing an animatronic and was significantly more popular than Bonnie, so it made sense that Bonnie would be killed. Vanny then took Bonnie's parts and used them to rebuild William Afton. From the note, we can see this all happened during the night hours. So when Bonnie left his green room, this was all during the night when no one was there. This is also when Vanessa, aka Vanny, is working the night shift. Okay guys, so the next theory is why isn't Foxy in the game? Now, we know that Foxy, like Bonnie, also does not appear in Finance Freddy's security breach. Foxy has his own merchandise in the game and his own attraction just like Bonnie, but is also missing. Unlike Bonnie though, Foxy has 0 notes that can be found throughout the Pizzaplex detailing what happened to him. Freddy and none of the other characters have any dialogue about him either, so it is currently up to complete speculation on where he is or what happened to him. I originally thought Roxanne Wolf was supposed to be Foxy in the game, but clearly he's a separate character from the whole merchandise and his own attraction. I do believe that he will eventually be a part of the game in DLC, as DLC has basically been confirmed by SeaWorld Studios at this point. The next question, that is one of the biggest mysteries in Security Breach, is who hired Vanessa, since it is stated that she was unqualified? Or more of a good question, why was she hired? So we know that Vanessa was a beta tester for Fazbear Entertainment making FNAF VR, and that eventually the glitched app virus found her and obviously got into her head, and that's the whole reason she's Vanny in the game. But it is stated in 2 notes, I believe, that Vanessa is unqualified for the job and that they do not recommend her for the position. They do say she's eager and bright, but overall this position should not be recommended to her because she is inexperienced and apparently they need someone to navigate a big security place like the Pizzaplex. Now, this is weird because she was inevitably hired. In another note, we can find that one of the higher-ups recommended her for the job and that her internal reference name was hidden and that basically everything was hidden. So this is really suspicious considering someone on the higher up, one of the owners of Finance Freddy's Entertainment, most likely hired her, knowing that she was part of the glitch that virus, and inexperienced. So this is really suspicious though, and something even more suspicious about this is in many notes in the game, it is referenced that there is this staff party that's going to happen. And after this staff party, there's not a note that specifies after this staff party. And we know that a lot of the employees were replaced by staff bots from the notes, and coincidentally, Vanessa was the only person who works the night shift. And you can even find a note that says the hours for employees were like shortened for the night hours because Vanessa would be taking charge of that. So whoever owns this Pizzaplex or Fazbear Entertainment purposely hired her knowing that she was inexperienced, and then simultaneously gave her more hours during the night, which is usually when she'd do her stuff. So we can come to a conclusion that whoever owns Fazbear Entertainment clearly is aligned with her on her motives and William Afton's motives. The thing is we currently have no information on who the owner of this place is, which is incredibly strange. So that is left to speculation, possibly for DLC or future content updates. But as for now, those are the facts, and we don't have much more on that situation. Anyway, continuing on with another question. So who is Lewis, and why is he talking to Vanessa in encrypted chat rooms? So we do know from one of the tapes that I actually got in my Let's Play that Vanessa is talking to people in encrypted chat rooms, and one of them is mentioned as Lewis. Now,
spent quite a bit of time with someone in an encrypted conversation. We have transcripts,
okay.
And I've read them. But it's not clear what you're talking about in these conversations. I can't make sense of it. You must be getting something from these that I'm not getting, right? Who are you talking to in these?
No one. Sometimes I talk with Lewis. He's in the marketing department.
Lewis, clearly the fact that he is talking to Vanessa in these chat rooms, along with probably William Afton, who is the unspecified name in this, is probably associated and trying to help this whole William Afton thing. Now, I delved deep into this whole thing about who Lewis is, and turns out he actually appeared in FNAF AR, which is the mobile game where like you can actually see animatronics in your house and stuff. So, Lewis, there's emails that were showed in FNAF AR, and Lewis basically is a guy who also worked for Fazbear Entertainment when they were making the VR game, as from the emails, and it is detailed that basically he seems to have a crush on Vanessa after talking to her a lot, and by the end, the last email details how they had their first really good conversation, and Lewis says that he would like to talk to her again. And that's all we hear from it until a security breach, of course. So we can conclude that Lewis is also part of the marketing team from one of the tape recordings as well. So Lewis works for Fazbear Entertainment, he's part of the marketing team, he has a crush on Vanessa who he begins emailing to and eventually talks to, and by the time security breach takes place, he is basically helping Vanessa with this plan. Now, we do know Lewis actually knows that something is wrong with Vanessa via one of the emails that details that he is basically scared of her and knows that something is going on with her, but he wouldn't turn her into the police or anything like that. So from this, we can pretty much guarantee that Lewis is helping and is associated with this whole William Afton plan, because he's in the encrypted chat rooms, that the relationship has progressed since Five Nights at Freddy's AR. Now, finally, one of the biggest questions in this game is, what year does Five Nights at Freddy's security breach take place? Now, the timeline for FNAF has been pretty wonky around since Five Nights at Freddy's sister location, considering that the games haven't really showed any explicit dates, but we can assume, based on what happened, that FNAF security breach happens after Five Nights at Freddy's 6, because obviously William Afton was burned and he had to rebuild himself, which explains why he's charging. Now, some people do believe that FNAF 3 takes place after FNAF 6, but I do disagree with this, considering it doesn't make sense why Fazbear Entertainment would just build a whole nother place after making fun of the previous ones with Fazbear Frights in FNAF 3. But regardless of that, I do believe in the timeline Security Breach is currently the most future game, just based on the design of the game. So we can either assume that this game takes place probably and most likely after 2023, because that is when FNAF 3 takes place. Some people assume that Five Nights at Freddy's 3 takes place in 2033, but that would be assuming that obviously the previous game took place in the year 2000, which is not true. So we can assume that basically this game takes place sometime after 2023. And FNAF 6, we do not know when that takes place, what year that takes place either, so we can assume that this game takes place most likely after FNAF 6 and after FNAF 3, which is past 2023. Now, in the Monty Golf minigame, there's a series of balloons on one of the holes that detail numbers that could possibly work for the timeline. One of them is 2038. So we know Fazbear Entertainment started in 1983, and if you add 55 to that, that is 2038. So some people assume, based on these numbers shown in the Monty Golf minigame on balloons, that the game takes place in 2038, which would still canonically work. Now, all these numbers work, except a lot of them seem really futuristic than others, so it is up to our speculation to know what these numbers mean, since they are seemingly very random. I do believe that this game takes place sometime after 2023, most like 2038. Okay, so that's going to be the video. Hope you enjoyed. That was my theories or explanations on Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach. So anyway, subscribe, like, hope you enjoy, and bye!